All right, guys, so today we're going to be going over how to actually put a valuation and create a CMA worth value to your client. So a lot of people actually do their CMAs directly from the MLS. I would suggest that you step out of your comfort zone and actually use a product that's offered by the National Association of Realtors. That is going to be the RPR system to actually create your valuation. Now, if you decide not to use this actual method, that's okay, but I do want you to make sure that your CMA is standing out as unique and unique to you specifically. So as we jump into this, guys, please focus on the fact that I'm not telling you you need to use this one. I'm simply telling you that this is a great tool and resource that's offered based on your dues paid already. So you might as well use something that can stand out, separating yourself from the pack when actually you're in a listing appointment. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So guys, we're going to be going over this property. So basically we're using this property at 4240 Camelot Heights. Now in this property, what we want to do is we want to use the tools and resources that are offered by RPR to create a valuation. So you'll notice at the top you have your summary, your history, charts, refined value, CMA, and neighborhood. Now each of these will categorize the property in its specific nature that's going to fit the criteria of what's going to be best for your client. But remember, this is also going to give you some knowledge and power about said listing. Bed, bath, square footage, as well as acreage. Now these are all publicly paced terms. Some of them may have been manipulated by MLS entries as well. But you can also look at this little tab right here that operates with history. So basically this will show you what's happened with the value of that property. It will also identify any public or listing records that are in the past. Okay, so this will give you an ability to be able to track down any other previous sales. So you can look at it based on public records or actual listing records. All right, now going back to the summary function, we're going to be focused today simply on the valuation model. So the first part of the valuation model is your list price, then followed by what is called AVM. So sometimes this is going to be defined by your automation valuation modeling. So this is taking all the data, both public and listing data, crunching it down and trying to define a rough AI or automated valuation of that property. So the whole goal here is that to simplify the process to give a baseline. But as you can tell, this property is currently listed at 479 with an AVM of 536. Now, keep in mind just came on market, so we'll see if that market price actually gets pumped up to where the AVM is sitting. But today we're going to actually refine this value and bring it into what is called a comp analysis value to find out if this is actually where it needs to be, or if I was going out to a listing appointment on this one, should I list it at what price? So remember, I have a refined value here. Now refining value actually is taking this number and allows me to adjust it based on details that things like bedrooms, and then I can add improvements, and then I can adjust those values. Now, what happens is that cost and evaluation moves that number back and forth. It also bases it on if it's a hot market, if it's a slow market, exterior, and so on and so forth down the line. Now, these adjustments are great obvious value adds because they're quick, easy, and able to put into action. But today, I'm going to actually go into your actual breakdown of value and do a comp analysis. So I'm going to click on this Create CMA function. Once I do that, it's going to bring up this actual page. Now I can also get to it by just scrolling over to the top and clicking CMA. But I have two versions. So I have a comparative market analysis, which builds an estimate based on comps, and then I have one that's actually a sales comparison analysis. Now today we're going to be using the sales comparison analysis for two reasons. One, because I think it's much more detailed, and the second reason because I do believe that it actually opens up a whole other myriad of tools that RPR offers in some of the reporting techniques that will give you an extra thing that stands out above all the other listing agents that probably won't do this, and therefore you're going to stand out whenever you're actually in that listing presentation. So we're going to go over a sales comparison analysis. So the first part is it's going to confirm the home facts. So keep in mind, I have not previewed this home, so I don't know the full details of it. So I'm going to take a lot of this for just the fact that it is what it is. So given, for instance, I have my total bedrooms, I have my public record data, and then I have my listing data. data. So here you would see some variance sometimes. For instance, we have 3 total baths on a public record where we have 3.1 baths. Now, this is an MLS thing for El Paso. We calculate our baths differently than most of the other, MLSs around the country. So 3.1 in this category means that it more than likely has 3 full baths and a half bath. And you can see that here. Yes, 3 and 1 partial. Okay. Now, on top of that, you have your square footage. That is accurate. You have your actual acreage, and then you have any other details. So this does have a pool and details on that, cul-de-sac, view lot, so on and so forth. I can make adjustments to that over on the right-hand side. I can change the category, or I can add in some details, like I could change the bed, bath, or the square footage. So once I pull all that information, I'm going to confirm facts. I'm going to leave it the way it is because, like I said, I haven't previewed the home. Once I go into find comps, this is something that I personally like to pay attention to. I have 2 ways to search for comps. I can use the search functionality in RPR. Now, it's very powerful, but sometimes it's not as accurate, or I can't drill it down to the details that I actually want to find. So in my category, I'm going to use a known property. Now, I've already done this search previously, so I'm not going to bring that up to you guys, but I'm going to pull the MLS factors over. So what I did is I went to MLS and I ran a actual search of properties that I found were very comparable to this one. So I'm going to type those in on the MLS. So an MLS number will populate the actual property, and then it populates that public data and MLS data into the system. 213 TAREK. No, wait, hold on. It did pull it. There it goes. Okay, so it brought it in. So now I have both properties in here, and now I can update valuation. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than expected. Now I have the ability that I have these 2 properties in here, and now I can adjust these comparables based on those details. All right, so I have 2 numbers. One is sitting at $94 a square foot. One is sitting $185 a square foot. Keep in mind that I would make minor adjustments based on the baths, based on the square footage, based on all the details of said home. Now, I'm not going to actually drop these tools in here today, because I want you to realize that these are going to be the numbers that you derive over your career in real estate. Your knowledge of the neighborhood, your knowledge of what's going on in the real estate game, also your knowledge of looking at appraisals over time. So I'm not going to put any numbers in here because I don't want to take you away from the concept that this is why we get paid what we do, to be professionals and identify these numbers. Now, if you'd like to do a one-on-one training, please reach out to me and we'll go through what the numbers that I feel are accurate and how I would actually run this valuation. But for the terms today, we're just going to simply leave it at where it's at today, and that's going to be sitting at a price valuation of about $448. When I translate that and update that valuation, because I've done those tools, I can now create a special report, and this report is going to be based on a lot of details that I'm trying to put into play. So remember, I have a property valuation report, seller's report, property flyer, and so on and so forth. This is the one that opens up only if you do that comp analysis. So this is the valuation workbook that comes into play. And in here, if I select this little plus button, that opens up all the pages of this document report that are automatically pre-installed. If I select them and deselect them, they would come off. I also have the ability to look at the information about that report and see what it looks like, get a demo of what it actually is. So you can go through each of the details of that actual report and make adjustments. And then at the top, you have an ability to add in what is called custom pages. So these are documents that would separate you specifically, things like resume or any of the details that you want to add into the presentation specifically. So these are resources that will separate you from every other real estate agent that might be entering into that property to give a listing presentation. Your whole goal is to make sure that you are separating yourself from the pack when it comes to who they're going to select. So once again, after I've done that, I can select any of these reports that I want. I can also use some of the great tools that are at the end, things like market activity and a market activity snapshot, which will give things like absorption rate, which we've discussed before. So all these tools and resources allow you to create a report that's very robust, very specific to you. And like I mentioned, most agents will not take the time to build out that comp analysis report. So this is something that might stand out above them by just simply doing the report as it is. But then if you go one step further and add in things like custom details and other aspects of this report, then you can adjust it from there. As well as the personalized information. So you can personalize this report to that person, and then you can add in some additional details like your picture, your logo, and all your actual information. So once I click on Run Report, that report will be completed. I can email it directly from the system, or I can print it out and put it bound nicely into a actual report to bring to the appointment. So what it comes down to is this, guys. You need to make sure that whatever you are doing in your listing presentation, especially given the environment of the market right now, the seller's market that we're in, listings are high competition. They're going to have 3 or 4 agents coming into the home to give them a presentation. What are you going to do to stand out? Now, obviously, you have to sell yourself. You have to sell what you're going to add as value. But if you actually walk in with a presentation that stands out above the rest, you're now having to prove your incompetence rather than trying to prove your competence in the respect of what is actually being presented to the client. This is the key in making sure that you're successful with everything you do, starting from that CMA moving forward. Guys, thanks for your time. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or anything else, please don't hesitate. Reach out to us. Guys, have a great day. See you later.